Hey guys, welcome to another video here on the 67 Mustang channel. I think we're ready to get going on that harmonic balancer. Anyway, so yeah, we'll get ready to get going on that and talk you through the process of at least taking it off. We'll see how far we get today. Okay, so guys, yeah, I finally got all the parts and tools, more importantly, because there are some tools that have to go along with this. So, yeah, I think I'm ready to give this a shot. Now, keep in mind, I've never done, well, okay, that's not entirely true. I've tried to do a harmonic balancer once on my wife's old 2006 Mustang. That was before she got the 2016 Mustang. And it didn't go so well. I got the old one off, thought I got the new one on, the car wouldn't crank. I boogered it up and we had to have it towed to a shop. That does not bode well. Good thing with this engine is we don't have things like harmonic balancers. Crank position sensors. That's what I meant to say, and all that stuff on here. So I have a lot less that I guess I can mess up with that. Now, a couple of things I'll tell you. If you've never done this before, that I'm going to recommend. First, obviously, you have to pull, well, I don't know if you have to, but pulling the radiator out is going to make it a lot easier. Actually, let me bring you over here and talk to you through some things. Also want to show you that if you don't have one of these working on a classic car, and obviously this is applicable to the Cougar, Fairlane, Falcon, Mercury, and Mustang shop manual. So this tells you how to do a lot of stuff on here. So we'll actually, before I bring you over here, let's open this up and consult the Bible, as it were, on what it says to do for taking off that harmonic balancer. So let's go ahead and do that so we get it from the horse's mouth, as it were. Okay, so I'm going through the book here. Really couldn't actually find anything on removing the harmonic balancer. Actually, they call it a crankshaft dampener, not a harmonic balancer. I don't really honestly know the difference. Somebody probably does. You can say so down in the comments, but say that a lot. Getting into here, the timing chain removal does coincide with having to remove that dampener. So it does say to drain the cooling system and all of that and remove the radiator. So apparently I was right about removing the radiator, and then it says remove all of the pulleys and fans and stuff, which makes perfect sense. It goes on and talk about the condenser and things if you have AC, which I do not, so I didn't have to worry about that, but it says do not disconnect the refrigerant lines. Yep, you're not supposed to do that because then you release all that in the atmosphere, which is bad and all that. So anyway, thermactor exhaust emission control system. I guess that's for a California car. I do not have any of that. So, but then up here it says, if so equipped, remove the accessory drive pulley. So that would be the second. If you got a double groove pulley on your balancer, or your dampener, I should say, in this, you would remove that. So that would be to drive things like power steering or AC. Again, I don't have any of that, so I won't do that. But it says using tool T58P-6316-A, remove the crankshaft dampener. So I don't have, well, okay, I have a tool. I have no idea if it's that number. That's a Ford number for their mechanics. So I've got a puller. We'll show you that in a minute, right? And then remove the cylinder front cover. The cylinder front cover? I don't know what that would be. I guess that's the timing chain cover that they're talking about for the timing chain, which we may have to get into that because we want to replace this, or I think we want to replace this seal, which I do have. Again, I don't know if it's that tool, but we do have a seal tool to put the new seal in there. So, yeah, we're going to get into that and see what we can do. And doesn't that engine look good? Nice and blue. Yeah, I got to pull the tape off the spark plug wires where I had put those on there so I could make sure I got the firing order right. But anyway, we're going to get in here and get to work. I'll talk to you about a few things as well. So let me get you positioned up so we can do this. Okay, so in here, a couple other things that I noted with this. If I do need to pull the timing cover to end up replacing that seal where this balancer goes in to the timing cover, there's a few things. So one is this, oh, hopefully you can see it. The bracket here, this holds the alternator. So the alternator was in this space here. I pulled it off so I could paint. But this bracket here is going to have to come off because it is attached to the block back here into the timing cover here. So that's going to have to come off. The other part is that there are some bolts that come up through the oil pan that go into the timing cover too that are going to have to come off. The other thing I went ahead and did in preparation for pulling this balancer off is I went ahead and found my timing mark, which is, I don't know if you can see where my finger is, but right here, and lined it up with top dead center. I don't know that you have to do that. It's just, to me, it helps. Well, I don't know. I wrote because I don't know. To me, it just seemed to make sense to do that. I, again, don't know if it matters or not. But so next thing is you have to pull this. You've got your bolt in here, which I'll verify is I think 13/16, but again, I'll verify that. So you got to pull that out. And then I'm going to actually get my phone in here so you can hopefully see. Let me bring some more light down in here on the subject. Okay, so here you can see the front of that balancer dampener. Around the main crankshaft bolt, which is here, you can see 3 holes. 1, 2, and then 3 over here. Those are what you're going to screw your puller into, so you want to make sure that those are threaded holes. You want to make sure that those are good and cleaned out, and especially if you didn't have the auxiliary pulley, so that you can have a separate pulley that mounts to the front here to do that with. So you want to chase those threads. I did that, but the first step is to get this out, which we're going to get ready to do here in just a moment. Okay, well, I found something else out. Is that the bar that goes into here that holds the trunk latch catch in place was in the way for my impact wrench. It was too big, the one I got brandy new from Harbor Freight when it was on sale a couple of weeks ago. So now we're going to see, with that out of the way, if I can get this on here. Looks like I can. Okay, looks like that got that busted loose. Now see if I can get it off the rest of the way with a regular socket. Let's see here. By the way, I was right. It is a 13/16. Say regular socket. I'm going to use this smaller impact now that I've got it busted loose to see if that there we go. Whew. Yeah, I think that seal is definitely leaking because there is oil all over that, but I don't know if that's normal. Not, but yeah, there's the bolt and has a washer, holds it in place. So now I'm going to get the puller out and get it set up to see if we can't pull that out of there. Okie dokie, so I got the puller out. Now these come with different tips, and this goes into the hole where the bolt was. You want to be careful and make sure you use one that doesn't booger that hole up. That's the technical term, you know. Okay, so apparently I lost my mic during that, didn't know it. So anyway, what I was telling you is to make sure you use the right tip on one of these pullers so that when it goes into where the main crank bolt goes, that it doesn't mess up the threads for that. The kit I had actually came with a few different tips. One is the flat kind of concave tip you just saw, and then a smaller conical tip like the one I have installed. So I picked the bigger one. It seemed to be the right size to fit in that bolt hole. And then, I'm going in and trying to align the puller to get the bolts that fit through the slots on the puller in line with the holes that are on that dampener, those 3 holes that I showed earlier. So just trying to get that fit in there to get it started. Again, the goal here is to make sure you get a good bite. I'm just hanging it off the one and then going back in and putting the other 3 in there with, again, the whole idea is to get in there, get a good bite on the threads, right? So because you're pulling this, so this balancer or dampener is a press fit, so it's pretty tight. You want to make sure that as you're pulling it off, that you're, again, those threads on those bolts for the puller are in there and set good. And then you also want to try to make sure that the spacing is similar, so that puller bracket tool, whatever you want to call it, that all this feeds through, is pretty evenly spaced on those bolts, right? So that it's flat against those, that one side's not higher than the other, so that you're putting even pressure on the puller as you're trying to remove the balancer. So again, I just go ahead and get that all in here, and since I have no idea what I was actually saying when I was recording this, I'm going to jump ahead. So here we go. Okay, so I got the puller on. I've got it fairly even, I think, in there, and seated the center shaft. So now we're going to start. I thought I had the right size. Well, apparently it's not 9/16. Nope, that says 9/16. So maybe it's a metric size. Okay, lost the sound again, so we'll try this way. It turns out that was a 14 millimeter for this particular puller. And I started off with a standard box end wrench to try to get the puller. So at the end on the black center post is kind of a hex shaped there that you can put a wrench on. And that little open-ended wrench just was not cutting it. The amount of torque I needed was not going to work. So I went back to go get something that was a little bit longer, basically one of my breaker bars with that 14 millimeter socket on there. So go and find that, and as we'll see here in a moment, it starts to work. So let's go ahead and fast forward to that part. Okay, never mind the fast forward, because I'm about to come in here with that breaker bar, or at least I thought it was. Yep, there you go, 14 millimeter on there, and now that I have more leverage on there, it turns pretty straightforward. So again, I'm just trying to apply pressure, because what you're doing is the center is pushing in on the crank there where the crank bolt went, and then the bolts that you put around in those 3 holes are pulling the balancer out. And so hopefully you can see that. Don't know what I'm doing with my phone. Maybe I'm going to come in here and let's get the phone in here and see if I get audio with it. And in here, see, this gets pulling out. See it pulling away from in there. Okay, I'm just going to keep going. Now the key is when you're doing this, make sure that the bolts here are in, you know, you've got plenty of threads going into here. You don't want to half do it and them not, you know, yank the threads out, right? So that seems to be part of the key here. So now I'm just going to keep going until I pop this out. Okay, so there you go. We got the old one off. As you can see, that is the end of the crank there, and you can see how dirty and messy all that is. So yeah, I think that seal is definitely leaking in there. So that's the importance. I don't know if you can see that little keyway there, but you should notice that in here, this has a slot for that. That's how you align this so your timing marks match up, right? So she's off, and yeah, I definitely think I'm gonna have to pull and replace that seal. Yay. How many bolts? 1, 2, what, hold on. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's definitely 5 coming up. 1 from the pound. 6, 7, 8, 9 bolts. Yay. Okay, stop that. So I've got the puller off. You can definitely see where that seal, the front seal there through the timing cover, was leaking and coming out here. So definitely think that needs to be replaced, and you really get up close now and see how bad the cracking is on the rubber. So this rubber here is what holds the pulley that drives everything else in place. So you can definitely see how cracked and dried out and splitting that was. So even if this hadn't given way, that probably will flip it over to the back side here. So the back side of that rubber is not nearly as bad as the front side there, but you can see definitely the oil that was coming through. So I think, you know, that seal should be replaced anyway, which required this to be pulled off. And if I'm pulling it off, I probably needed to replace it, you know, anyway to do that. So yeah, I think I made the right call here. So now for the timing cover. Okay, so I've got all of, at least I think I've got all of the bolts out. So there were 3 sizes. There was all of these, and by size I mean you know, size of the socket taken off. These up here were all 3/8. The ones that come up right here and here were 1/2 inch. And then there's another one on here back, somewhere back in where my finger is, kind of up under where this sticks out, but where this bolt is, that was it 11/16? Let me check that out. I think it was 11/16. No, I guess it was 7/16. Anyway, you can see them right here. So let me see if that was the size. Sorry. Yeah, so there's the 2 1/2 inch. There should be 2 of the 7/16 like this one. Apparently I'm missing one. And then these are the 3/8. Now they are different. So starting at the very top, so where's that? So starting right there, yeah, this one right here, and then going around clockwise, they come out like this. So this is the very top, going clockwise here, or the next 2, then this one, then this one, and then this one. So you can see there are different bolts that seem to hold the timing cover in, or at least on mine they were. I've noticed some of these are pretty rusty, so I'm probably going to want to get some new hardware before I put the timing cover back on. Like I said, that one looks pretty, oops, I can get that focused. Yeah, pretty gnarly. I'll put it on the wheel, clean it up, and just see, but it looks like the threads are, well, we'll clean it up and take a look. So now to pull the timing cover. Okay, so timing cover is off. Here it is. Now I'm gonna tell you, I undid those bolts, but I probably, when I get to put it back on, I'm gonna drop that oil pan some, because trying to get it off with the oil pan in place was not easy. You know, you obviously have the, you know, what's left of the oil pan gasket over here. You can see it came off over here. Now I think the new gaskets that I have for the timing cover includes a section of this. Of course, there's also a seal that runs right here. There's a rubber seal that fits in that groove on the timing cover, so it goes right in there to seal it up. Right, you can see how much stuff was in there, how grimy that was. Now what's interesting is that rub spot there. That kind of is interesting, but what I really want to know is how much slop should you have. This seems pretty darn tight to me. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's got any play down here, but that's also, looks like it's, can't tell. It's, no, there's clearance there. I thought maybe here, but that seems tight to me. So I think my timing chain is still good in there, right? So, oh, by the way, this comes off here. So let's see if I can knuckle that off. I just had it off a second ago, but I'm not quite sure what that does exactly, but put that down there. But I think the gears look good. These are metal gears. They don't have, like some engines have nylon teeth on their gears, but these gears look good and metal. Anyway, I'm going to send pictures to a couple of friends just to get their take on it, but I think my timing chain's pretty good. See, it's got a little slop up here, but that's on the turn side, because I think the engine goes clockwise. So anyway, there we go with that. I'm not sure how far I'm going to keep going with this today, but we'll see. Whew. Hey guys, it's the next day. We survived the bad storms that came through last night. Some pretty nasty thunderstorms, some tornadoes and things came through the southeast, including Georgia, where I'm from. And I said, luckily, we did good. Dogs got a little crazy with it, but nothing bad. Anyway, I've gone through, done a little bit more since the last part of the video, and I've determined, after getting some advice from folks, that the timing chain here probably should be replaced. Most folks said that it does have a little bit more slop than should be acceptable. It would probably run okay for a good while, but that I'm here, I'm this far, I might as well replace it. So I've ordered a new timing chain from Comp Cams to put in there. Sounds like my wife is pulling back up from taking her mom to church. And I've also discovered some things here on the timing cover, which I've cleaned up a good bit. So with that, I'll bring you over here to take a look here. Let me get it closer. Okay, so with the like I said, timing cover, I got it all cleaned up, and I noticed a couple of things. One, if you can see it there, there's a crack going through there, where I think there's a casting issue. Now, I think that could probably still seal up and be okay. The big problem is here. That is a hole, like this one over here, that the oil pan is supposed to screw into. That hole, as you can see, is messed up. Screws won't go into it. It was filled with RTV. which is my fault from when I replaced the oil pan. I'm sure I thought a bolt had broken off in there, but that hole is just messed up, and I've tried to run a tap in there to maybe tap out some threads, but it's just not working. And that may have been also part of the reason we were getting the leakage that we were down there before, is because of that bolt being there. So with that, I've gone ahead and ordered a new, like I said, new timing chain from Comp Cams, and I've also gone in and ordered a new timing cover. They are not easy to find for this engine. For some reason, if I had a 289, a 302, a 351. Okay, so sound cut out again. I don't know why. But anyway, what I was saying is getting a timing cover for this engine is difficult. I tried all the normal things, National Parts Depot, CJ Pony Parts, Kentucky Mustangs, couldn't find it. Did end up finding one from Northeast Classic Ford Parts up in Delaware, and got that ordered and on the way. So we should be good on that one, I think, and now the sound should be coming back, so I'll turn it back over to the video. Timing cover here. So with that, guys, thank you so much. Hopefully you found this video interesting, helpful, whatnot. I know that I didn't see anything about pulling the balancer or the dampener, as they actually call it, for this engine online anywhere. So like I said, hopefully this proves useful. It wasn't bad. Couple things again to remember: pull the cooling system, so radiator, fan, all of that needs to come out. If you're going to use a big impact to pull the bolt out, you'll also need to pull the hood latch mechanism thing that goes right in here out as well. So, but that's not bad. It gave me a chance to pull and paint it. I have it painted somewhere over here, get it cleaned up, and it hasn't been out of the car before, well, since it was built, as far as I can tell. So, you know, it gives me a chance to clean things up. So guys, thanks again for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Make sure to give it a thumbs up if you did. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. We're very close to 1,000 subscribers, which is kind of a magic number in YouTube land for things. So again, thanks you so much, guys. I'll see y'all in the next video.